Hey everybody, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Smokes. My name is Chris. I'm your host. I am the creator and host of Sunday Afternoon Smokes. I'm also the owner and operator of the Cigar Box, a mobile cigar bar that serves the upstate of South Carolina and beyond. And today I have the happiness, the joy to sit down with a couple gentlemen that I met at the end of January in Las Vegas. Cigar Show Tim and Kyle Garrett of Smoke and Revelry. Both of these gentlemen are in cigar media, cigar reviewing not just cigars, but, cigar paraphernalia, whether that's humidors, cutters, lighters, all of the above. A couple of really great guys. And I was super happy to run into them. And so I reached out to them, last week sometime, and I said, hey, why don't we do a three-way podcast soon? And they're both like, heck yeah, let's do it. So here we are, guys. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, but let's just go ahead and start with what everybody's smoking today. How about that? I've got a Plasencia Reserva Original, the original. It's my best Spanish, man.
That rolled right off your tongue.
That's all I've got.
Mm-hmm.
But this is their Cortez. Kind of just a medium stick, but it's nice. It's smooth. It goes great with this cup of coffee that I've got sitting right here. So that's what I'm throwing down for today's episode.
Nice. I have got the EP Carrillo New Wave Connecticut. I absolutely love this. It is a nice, mild, but full flavored cigar. Perfect for in the morning, cup of coffee, really any time of the day. So that's what I'm starting with.
Yeah.
Which is an excellent choice, Tim. This morning I am smoking an old favorite, and it is a cigar from one of my sponsors, and that is Casa Cuevas Coraline Connecticut, which is similar to Tim's. Great morning coffee smoke. I mean, this one, as well as the EP Carrillo New Wave Connecticut, is they're in my top like 3 Connecticut's, because just fantastic, really great cigar. So
yeah, I think, Kyle, that you recently posted a couple of weeks ago, you smoked that New Wave and said that it was about immediately one of your new favorite Connecticut's.
Oh yeah, it is, because and Tim will agree with me on this one. Connecticut's can be so hit and miss. Unfortunately, it's not an easy cigar to blend and make in a way that really hits all the points. Sometimes they're a little too mild, maybe not as flavorful. The sweetness and stuff like that really isn't there. But there are only a few that really hit the mark in terms of a good Connecticut. Coraline, Connecticut, Casa Cuevas, what Tim's smoking, and Tim knows what other cigar I'm going to mention, the Espinosa Crema.
I have
such a good cigar.
Yeah, and I've got on backup, I've got the Espinosa, the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut, as my backup, which is another fantastic Connecticut. But it's not easy to find a good, smooth Connecticut. And Chris, I'm sure you know this, because some of them get tangy or bitter, or some of them get a little bit sour depending on the tobacco that's used in it. And so I'm quite picky, excuse me, like Kyle is, when it comes to Connecticut's, of finding ones that aren't bitter or tangy or sour or completely flavorless, or wide open draw, all sorts of different things.
I haven't smoked a ton of Espinosa. When I was back in Vegas, they did give me a knuckle sandwich. I think it was the Habano that they gave me, and that was freaking awesome.
It's delicious.
But I have smoked the Espinosa Habano. But I have in the large amount of stock that I came home with from that show, I do have one of the Laranja. I guess that's how you say it. I haven't smoked that yet. Yeah,
it's very good.
Okay.
Well, I like this. The 2 of them that I really like that I haven't had in forever are the 601 and the Snake Bite. Those are from Espinosa, right?
Yeah. 601, they've got the blue, they've got the green, they've got the red, they've got the yellow, they've got a whole bunch of different ones.
I had the red, but the Snake Bite, that was something else. Yeah, but the Snake Bite was something else, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to check those out. I mean, there's so many cigars to smoke. There's so many brands.
understatement of the century.
Yeah, big name brands, and then all of the boutique. I mean, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about being at TPE. I got to meet just a bunch of boutique manufacturers I'd never even heard of.
Oh yeah.
That was super fun for me.
That's
and
the
so
best part, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And now I have access to new product that I would not have been able to get before, just from meeting people, and I really enjoyed that. But I smoke like you both across the spectrum, from Connecticut all the way to Maduro, just because when you're in it, when you're in the cigar business, as it were, you want to be able to talk about this cigar and that cigar, and of course, I think the two of you, you're both just cigar media, right?
Yeah, we don't have any sales, brick and mortar, online presence, nothing like that as far as a retailer.
Right.
I took a stab at being a rep for like 5 minutes. I say it's 5 minutes because it was a very brief period. My friend Marvin Benavides, really good guy. Tim knows him. We hung out and had dinner when we were at TPE and stuff like that. His family cigar business, Benavides. He asked me to give a try to, see if I can get the cigars in shops, and I did. It's not easy to break into. The people that we see doing it, the reps and brokers, they've been doing it for a while and they got the rhythm. Me, on the other hand, it was a very brief period of me trying to see if I could get cigars into shops.
Well, that's got to be tough. By nature, I am not a salesman. And and most people aren't, but whenever you're a cigar rep, I mean, that's what it is, right? You are trying to sell this brick and mortar owner on this brand's product.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and you're working on. We're one of the last industries where relationships are where everything is founded, and so you're working on building relationships so that you can get the credibility to have them say, yes, I want to bring in the product that you're repping, but you've got to also be able to sell that product, and the product has to be able to sell itself. Kyle just mentioned what he was doing with Benavides for a while. I never was officially a rep for them, but there's a brand out there that I've known basically since just after their inception called Founder Cigars. I worked with them for a while they were getting stuff up and going. And I wouldn't say that I was officially a rep because I wasn't, but I was going to a couple different lounges and just talking about them, sharing about the cigars, passing them out, things like that. And it is a different ball game when you have to sell the cigars as opposed to just buy them, enjoy them, and smoke them. And you've got to have a different tact in how you approach everything you do with everybody you interact with, through your relationships, what you talk about, all those different things. And you definitely have to have a different mindset.
Yeah. No, that's difficult. And that's what I love about my my ventures, whether it is my cigar business, because I mean, I don't really sell cigars. I mean, I do, but if I show up at some event where there's a bunch of other vendors, I'm just there to sell. You know what I mean? And there's no other cigars anywhere else. So I'm the only guy in that moment. But bigger picture than that, I sell a service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm showing up for your wedding. You want to hire me for your company's 30th anniversary. You're having a big party. Just so I don't have to deal with that side of the industry.
You already know you're wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're also selling an experience. You're selling an experience too.
Yeah.
Because,
100%.
like you said, an event or a wedding and stuff like that, people just want to be able to enjoy themselves. And that's what you're giving them when you have something like that, as opposed to being a manufacturer or brand owner. That's like you said, it's a whole different ball game, and it comes with its own set of challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get back. Let's run backwards some into actual cigar media. And we were kind of chatting a little bit before the show that the two of you, Cigar Show Tim, that's the brand, and then Smoke and Revelry. It's intertwined. We'll put it that way.
That's an easy way to label it.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So how do you two wind up in cigar media doing what you do?
Well, is it okay if I take the lead on this, Tim?
I was gonna pass it off to you anyway. So,
without going crazy long into the background, Tim and I have known each other for over 20 years, and one of the things we would do every so often when we hung out was have cigars, and as we the build up to doing cigar media is that we were smoking a lot more frequently. As whereas before it was maybe a few times a year or a couple times a month. And as such, I was on YouTube and on Instagram seeing all these different cigar personalities. I'd never really seen or noticed them before. And then I was just like thinking about it. The more I thought about it, I'm like, this sounds like it'd be fun to do. And I hit up Tim and I said, hey, how about we do this? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, well, what are we gonna call it? And at the time, because my dad got me into cigars, I'm a dad, Tim's a dad, we started off as dad smoking cigars, and literally the first time we ever did anything related to that was in my backyard on my patio, just smoking cigars and posting pictures of it. And that's how it started, and then slowly progressed into the YouTube channel and whatnot. And Tim and I did dad smoking cigars together for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID just came around and ruined everything. We were trying to do shows together remotely. Tim, he still lives very close to me, but he used to live very close. He used to be a quarter mile down the street from me. And usually the routine was every Monday I would go to his house and we would shoot there and, do our reviews and whatever we would do. And then when COVID hit, he would, like we're doing right now, do it remote. And then, him and I were having different ideas of what we wanted to do. And, it ended up in a conversation where he called me up and he said, I'm having these thoughts. And I said, well, it's interesting you bring that up because I'm having these thoughts as well. And we just discussed it. And Tim had kind of already started doing Cigar Show Tim, just to kind of occupy himself while he was at home, because we weren't always shooting stuff together. And so we talked and we were like, okay, so are we cool? He's like, yeah, I'll do my thing. You do yours. We're still friends. It was, there were some rough patches just because we were doing stuff together a lot, and you spend enough time with somebody, too much time with somebody, end up butting heads. And as long as we've known each other, it's inevitable. So, but no, it was a good conversation, and we, amicably parted as, partners in doing media, and we've been doing our own thing ever since. And then obviously I'm no longer dad smoking cigars, and I rebranded end of 2023 to Smoking Revelry because I felt like the dad's thing was pigeonholing me a little bit.
So yeah, and so that's the long and the short of how we got into it. And then during COVID, when we or just after the tail end of COVID, I guess technically, summer of 2020 is when I launched my own channel. Call it Cigar Show Tim. It's all under the umbrella Tobacco Talk Media. But yeah, so just strictly media, cigar reviews, accessories, all the stuff that you mentioned at the top of the show. And that's just sort of how we sort of fell into it. And we've met people along the way. We've got a dear brother of ours who's a broker in the industry. And, it's funny because back almost 6 years ago now, and we remember talking with him and we're like, man, he knows this person and that person, and he's got all these cigars and all these different things. How in the world do you get to that point? And I came home actually from TPE this year, and as I'm driving and just realized, oh, and I went up to this brand and that brand and that brand and this, and knew them and could talk with them, and came home with cigars and all these different things. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize that what I saw as being this mirage in the distance is what I'm blessed already and fortunate enough with a lot of hard work to be in a very similar kind of situation to other people's perceptions. So media just allows me to, Kyle as well, obviously, to be a part of the industry.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. I mean, you find something that you're passionate about and you start doing it. Just probably most things or many things, you just start doing it out of enjoyment and fun. Let's smoke a cigar together, or we'll start just kind of posting some pictures together on Instagram, and then it turns into dad smoking cigars. Then it goes into, now it blossoms into where you are. And it's just kind of with me, I had I had two friends that are fellow cigar smokers, and we pal around. Another guy has a big beard like mine, and the three of us, we tried to get a podcast going. It was called Men with Manes, Manes. Yeah, Men with Manes, and
That's awesome.
I love it.
I mean, we had artwork made and everything for the logo. I still have it, but we at that point in time we had trouble figuring out, because none of us are very technical. Had trouble figuring out recording, editing, and then getting finished product to Spotify or whatever. And so it just fell apart. But I really, really wanted to do a podcast. So I trial and error. And I finally figured it out. And then, I wound up at TPE and I said, I'm just going to take some recording stuff and just do kind of end of day recaps and post it on my Spotify and other places. And then, I just decided, well, I'm just going to start doing cigar reviews. Why not? I smoke cigars. I'm part of the thing. There's no reason not to. I've got the time. I've got the equipment. I'm just going to make a YouTube channel and I'm just going to start doing stuff. And that's what happened. And so I don't know. You find something you're passionate about and you just start trying new things.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoy it. And look, I mean, for anybody listening to this podcast or watching this episode on YouTube, just start doing stuff. And to be honest with you, when it comes to like the cigar reviews, even though I've smoked a lot of cigars and I run the cigar business, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I really don't.
None of us do. None of us
stumble our way through it.
You just get a cigar, you start smoking it, you talk about why you like it. Maybe you look up some information about the blend, the manufacturer, you talk about them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's what you do. So anyway,
how we all got into it. I mean, it was,
oh yeah,
it sounded good at the time is really the basis of where, and it still is good because
I thought we all did it because we wanted to get rich.
Yeah.
Are we rich? Are we rich, Tim?
No. Nobody.
I think you need to readjust your priorities, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Readjust your priorities.
Yeah. No, not. But I will say for just a second on that, though, that during COVID, a lot of cigar review channels popped up and a lot of them
cigar brands too.
And brands, yeah. And a lot of the cigar YouTube channels disappeared. Some of them needed to. Others, I'm bummed that they disappeared. But a lot of people just decided, well, I'm home. I'm not really working, or I'm working from home now. And I want to try this thing out. And a lot of people have, during that time, actually grown and have very substantial channels now and do very well. None of us are getting rich off it by any means whatsoever. But it's one of those things where a lot of people just thought, hey, I have fun with this. I have the time. Let's do it. And that's the greatest way to fall into something like this, because you have to know that you enjoy it first. As soon as it becomes something that just drones on, or you go, oh man, I've got to go out and I've got to do a video. Why am I doing this? Then you really shouldn't be doing it at all, because if you don't have that excitement, people are going to either hear it through the microphone or they're going to see it on camera.
And full transparency, I hit a point where I almost completely cashed in my chips with this stuff, just because I was hitting walls in terms of content creation, what I wanted to create. Because what I believe what kind of sets me apart from some cigar media personalities is that I don't do reviews, at least in the traditional sense. Right. For a while I was doing, like Tim and I started doing it. And then when we did our own things, him and I both were still kind of doing the first, second, third format, when it came to smoking a cigar.
You mean like a while, you mean like here's the flavor profile, the first third, then the second third, and then the final third. Okay.
Yeah. And then I got tired of hearing and looking at myself doing it. I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like how I was coming across. I was boring myself. At least just from my own perspective. And I had a couple of people tell me, like, get away from reviews, or at least how you're doing them, because people aren't watching it, and they're kind of, it's saturated. So I was just like, okay, I'll try something else. And I have, and I continue to do so. Mm-hmm. I'll probably get back around to like doing product highlights and reviews. I've been in talks with a couple of brands to see if they'll allow me to do that, and they're going well. So yeah, there's still value and merit to it, because companies want to know how their product is to the consumer. And when you got somebody who does cigar media, they're happy to hear it, because it also is free advertising for them, and you get to enjoy a new cigar, and it's a win-win for everybody. And that's, I've been saying that for the longest time. That's one of the beautiful things about relationships between guys like us and the actual manufacturers and brand owners.
Yeah. So I would assume that on your cigar reviews, where you were doing first third, second third, final third, you were trimming all that down, though, so that it's like a 20-minute video. Because I mean, that's a long time to be in front of camera droning on about this cigar.
Yeah,
so constant.
So
breaks,
we would
constant
when we were together, we would record a segment and then just enjoy the rest of that third, taking mental notes, all those different things. Film the second third, do all that kind of stuff. I still do that format. It seems to work well for me. I've tweaked and adjusted it over the years, but for me, it's just I'm a very structured person, and so to have that structured kind of template there just seems to work well for my channel, from what people watch with comments, all those different things. And so everybody's got to find their own flavor and what works for them in their lane under cigar media.
Yeah.
And just own it and enjoy it and have fun with it. And have your own sort of unique fingerprint on what your final product is.
I find that whenever I'm making my reviews for my cigar videos, that I enjoy actually talking more about the blend, the tobacco itself, where it came from, the different parts of the plant, than the actual talking about the cigar. I enjoy that more. That's just a personal flavor. I'm a personal preference. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Of course, I immensely enjoy the cigar, but just as far as content, like, I don't have a super sophisticated palate, so I'm not, you're not going to get Charlie Hamato from Fifth Wheel over here.
You're not going to get fatty tuna?
No. So I enjoy those things, and everybody's different takes that they have is obviously what separates the channels. And I was going to ask you, Kyle, you talked about how you moved away from the first, second, third situation on a cigar into doing something totally different. And anybody can check out your channel and your social media and find out about that. But just for the sake of this episode, what did you start doing differently?
I would just tackle different subjects regarding cigars. I would, there was a bit, which I may get back to this as well. I did a segment called Your Week in Cigar News, and basically I would scour all the different cigar publications, and, I wouldn't like parrot them back from the actual articles. I would just kind of, say it in my own words in little brief bits, and the episodes or the little segments were never longer than 2 or 3 minutes. And I would usually put 3 stories in that, seemed the most interesting to me. And I enjoyed doing it because, like, everybody kept saying to me, like, do what no one else is doing. And so far as I know, no one else was doing that. It wasn't getting a whole lot of traction. And so I kind of hit the pause button on it about 2 years ago. And, and then I would just delve into different things. And one of my favorite series that I shot, and I'm pretty sure Tim knows which one I'm gonna say, is a series called Why Cigar Influencers Are Assholes. And and obviously I don't think that.
I have somebody in mind.
We all do. That's my point, is that we all at least know one person who
fits the bill.
Yeah, that fits the bill, that does what we do, or in the same vein, that we know is kind of a giant prick. And not because they're like this awful person, but because I believe people can get into this for the absolute wrong reasons, just like anything else.
Oh yeah.
They will get into it because, like, they see, like, Tim
free
will
cigars.
get his free cigars. Tim will get his monthly box from Black Lion Luxuries because, he's sponsored by them. And so they will send him a box, and people see that and they're like, oh, that's cool, I want that too. But you have to understand, like we were just saying, it took a while for Tim to get to that point. just like it took a while for me to get to the point of getting, being generously gifted the things that I've been given. I don't deserve it. I'm not entitled to it. And that's what that whole series kind of tackled, because like there was even an episode I shot that was called "Where's My Free Shit?" Because that's one of the reasons why some people will get into it. And so, that among other subjects that I would talk about, different aspects of cigar smoking. I did a little tutorial on how to smoke cigars, cut, light, all that stuff, how to avoid cigar sickness, things like that, stuff that people who are new to cigars, or maybe people who have been smoking for a while, may not necessarily know. It's, some of it's educational. It's always for the sake of entertainment. I always, make sure to inject my personality into it. And, in the beginning, going back to when Tim and I were doing it together, that was one of the things that people appreciated, was that we weren't putting on an act. We were just being ourselves. Yeah, we'd be goofy, we'd be silly, and there'd be some manufactured moments, that were kind of scripted or whatever. But overall, our personalities were still written all over it, because we were just being our usual dumb, goofy selves. And so, with my videos, I try to do the same thing. And I remember not last Christmas, but the one before that, I shot a video about like, how you hold your cigar. What does it say about you? Because I saw this, and if I'm being 100% honest, it was dumb. I saw these.
I've seen, yes,
the pictures of what it says about you, like how you hold your cigar. And I'm like, this is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
And I made fun of it the whole time.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah.
I'm always flummoxed by people that are a different person on screen than they are off camera. As you guys know, that just from our meeting in Vegas, that I pastored for 12 years in SoCal, and actually in your neck of the woods.
Yep.
And I had a guy
I still find crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. I had a guy who was a member of the church, relatively new, and he was just gobsmacked that after he got to know me as a person, or just at church before the official beginning of the service, when I'm up on stage, he's like, "You're the same person no matter whether you're in the pulpit or out of the pulpit." And I'm like, well, yeah, this is who I am. I don't understand people that are like that. Just be genuine no matter where you're at.
Yeah. You have to be in, it's like I mentioned a minute ago about, if you're enjoying it, people will hear it in your voice. They'll see it on camera, all those different things. People will be able to pick up on someone who is just a personality and someone who is being themselves. And I've, like Kyle has, and like you have met people throughout the years and talk with them at a trade show, or, whatever it is, at a cigar lounge. And they're like, "You're the same person on camera as you are right now." And I said, because I want to be an accurate reflection of who I am. I don't need to have this personality or this larger than life persona. And I've got friends in the industry that do that because that's their shtick. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's who they want to be. But for myself, at least, I just wanted to be the same person. I never did any of this because I wanted to have, a massive amount of subscribers and this and all those different things. I just wanted to chronicle my cigar journey. And, when Kyle and I started, it was a matter of just talking about what we were smoking. Did we have a good palate then? No, it was trash. Did we know what we were talking about? Absolutely not. But we were having fun and we were being ourselves. And that's all I ever hope to convey through what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. You recently reviewed what looked like a pretty sweet humidor, man.
Yeah.
So,
KGR?
Yeah, tell us about it.
So, Xyface Cigar Accessories is the parent company, and Kyle's reviewed some accessories and things from them as well. They reach out to me from time to time and say, "Hey, we've got this, pick from one of these 3 products, or we're going to send you this," or whatever it is. And they reached out, and this was a few months ago now. Actually, it was before TPE, and they said, "Hey, which would you like to review?" And I somehow have developed this little niche where humidor brands will reach out to me and say, hey, will you review this, or will you review that? And I thought, well, I might as well do a humidor review from them. And so they sent it out. They say it's 120 to 200 cigar count. It's got to be like cigarillos to fit 200 in this thing, because there's no way that regular cigars will fit that.
Or you're really good
cigars.
at cigar Tetris.
Yeah, exactly. But it holds about 90-ish cigars between Robustos, Toros, Churchills, all those different things. So the regular Vitolas. But it's all Spanish cedar lined. It's got 4 drawers that are in it, one up on top with a see-through glass. And I mean, I've got all the distilled water with the gel beads in there, and it's been seasoning since a few nights ago when I filmed that review, which should be coming out soon. But it's actually really nice, and Kyle can attest to it also. I haven't had an accessory or a product from the Zyphy portfolio that hasn't performed well. And I've reviewed a lot of humidors. There are some that I would not recommend to my worst mortal enemy if I hoped that they were smoking nothing but terrible cigars. And I mean, this one actually so far is doing really, really well. The wood smells nice. The hygrometer seems to be, for the most part, decently accurate. And it's nice. It's sitting here right in front of me.
Is it analog? The hygrometer?
It's a digital one.
Okay. You know, most of the analog hygrometers you find, as far as I understand, on the market are not really great.
No, not at all.
Unless you calibrate them and adjust them.
Yeah.
But then you still have to get another hygrometer in there to see how far off are you. So,
right. Yeah. And the Zyphy, whenever I started my cigar business, those are the cutters that they're cutters. Well, actually, whenever I got my trailer, not when I started, I bought the gold ones, the guillotine and the V cutter that have all the real nice filigree work on them. Yep. And they're gorgeous. Everybody raves about them.
Yep.
But they also are very complimentary with my style, with the trailer and the crushed gold velvet and everything that I'm putting out. I'm like, yep, this is a cutter that fits my brand.
Oh yeah,
I should probably reach out to them because I buy a lot of those things.
Oh, you totally should.
And then I have a local. What's up?
No, I was just a quick little interjection. Like Zyphy is, it is unlike any other cigar accessory brand that I've ever used, and I'm not just saying that because they, were kind enough to collaborate with me. But yeah, man, everything that they make is not only looks good, but it's super durable, made with high quality materials. It literally, has some weight to it. Their lighters, their cutters, all of that. It's because I've handled some cheap ass lighters and cutters that were made by, what you would consider to be reputable brands.
Yeah.
And they honestly weren't all that great, but Zyphy, man, they take what they do seriously, and they have the customer very much in mind when they make their product.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to them. Now that, like I said, I buy a lot of their cutters, just on Amazon is where I buy them. And I'm like, why am I buying this on Amazon? I have my freaking sales license and everything else. I need to be buying this at wholesale prices. And because not only do I just use them as complimentary for whoever comes up to the trailer, they have one there they can use to cut their cigar, but I have a local guy who does leather work, and I gave him some, and he makes custom leather cigar cases for those cutters with my brand on it.
That's cool.
And so that's what I, sell those in tandem. And so definitely going to reach out to Zyphy. Did I say that right? Zyphy?
You did. Zyphy. It's kind of, more or less
interchangeable.
pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. We'll tag him in this episode.
There we go.
So do the two of you, I know you started together and then you kind of branched off and are doing your own separate things, but do you ever get together for like a special collaboratory episode or, whatever?
Funny you should mention that. Not too long before
the pot. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, not too long before TPE. I would say about a month or two, because it was at the tail end of 2024. Was it the beginning of the year? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was the end of last year.
Yeah, end of last year. I hit up Tim and I just said, hey, let's do an episode together. You come over to my house, we'll hang in my studio, and we decided to go down memory lane and rewatch some of our old videos.
They were so cringeworthy.
They were, well, but at the same time, kind of going back to what you were saying, Chris, is that you need to work with what you've got. And, in the beginning, what we had was just our mobile phones. And then, we would progressively, buy or just dig up things we had. Like Tim had a webcam he hadn't used in forever, and that was what we shot. And it was this 1080p.
It actually worked really well.
A Logitech 1080p webcam. And it actually, it did work very well. The quality was good. The video quality in terms of like visual was never lacking. It was the audio that sucked for the longest time. And Tim became increasingly obsessive over that. And, it was to our benefit because, over time the audio became much, much better. And, same thing with when I, was doing it started doing it on my own. First I just had my phone, and then I progressively got better stuff. And, but yeah, no, we rewatched some of our old videos and laughed and mocked ourselves. And, we were definitely a quirky couple of dudes. And, it was fun. And, we, going back to Founder Cigars, they were kind enough to sponsor the episode. They sent Tim and I some sticks.
They're good guys.
Because Tim, Tim had such a great relationship with them, and I was, kind of building my relationship with them and becoming more familiar with them. And, but yeah, no, that was the last time we did anything. I think before that, I was on Tim's former podcast called Down to the Nub.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Which was I think you did that for about a year, maybe half a year.
It lasted about a year. It basically lasted during the main brunt of COVID because Brandon Wells, who's a broker in the industry, and I partnered together on that after I was separated and done with Dad Smoking Cigars. We did a live show where we had different people from the industry come on, and it was a live show, and we turned it into then a podcast. And it was very faith-based as a podcast. When we went that direction, we just felt the Lord calling us that direction to take it. And we had good response, but it lasted about a year or so. And then it just didn't make sense to continue on. Life got busy again. But yeah, one of the episodes, Kyle came over here in my studio, and we hung out and had a good time.
Just to show how much I loved him, and also the fact that I really wanted a cigar. That was my first cigar post vasectomy. Maybe TMI for people, but I was itching to get out of the damn house because I was sitting in a recliner for days and days at a time, binging Cobra Kai, and I wanted a cigar so bad. And he's like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" I'm like, I should be in good enough shape by then. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I had a bag of peas in the freezer here in case he needed them. So we're good.
Was it? Go ahead.
No, you're going to ask. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, I know we make jokes about it. I mean, I had one done. It's really not that bad. At least in my personal experience. I'm sure there's
not. No. Yeah. It's not bad unless 2 days after you have yours, you have a big Cub Scout, Boy Scout event that you have to be at.
I remember all day.
I was horribly uncomfortable.
Oh man, I remember watching
scheduling.
Him. No, yeah,
it was painful to walk around. Yeah, and it was not comfortable by any means. I definitely came home and put an ice pack right where it needed to go because it was one of those, like, the day after I was like, I'm a little uncomfortable, but this isn't bad at all. I could totally be there tomorrow. And after about 2 hours of being there, I was like, oh, this was a mistake. I'm not comfortable. I'm walking around like I got a load in my pants because I'm trying not to bump against myself. I mean, it was just not fun.
He was like randomly intervals, kind of like squatting down super slow just to kind of like stretch out and just, not feel like he was stuck in a freaking sardine can. At least that's the best way I can describe it. Cause you're feeling achy and uncomfortable, and it's a shame I didn't discover edibles before that because they would have helped tremendously.
Sure.
Yeah. My experience wasn't that bad in terms of like being in pain afterwards, just achy, uncomfortable, and walking around, you're terrified that you're gonna like bump something, or you're gonna just take one step too far, your stride's gonna be too wide, and you're gonna like injure yourself. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how terrified we are when it comes to the undercarriage getting hurt, especially after even a minor routine procedure. It's funny looking back on it, but at the time you're just like, oh god, I don't want to make this worse.
Yeah,
it just feels like you got kicked in the nuts.
The old vasectomy cigar section of the podcast.
There you go.
There we are.
You don't have to make this a regular part of your podcast.
Yeah, there's no danger of that happening.
Hey, it would be pretty damn funny though, I will say. Just like randomly throw it at a guest, like find out beforehand. Have you had a vasectomy? Yeah. Why do you ask? Never mind. Just we'll see you on the show. Yeah. Just put them on the spot. So we're going to talk vasectomies. Tell me about your experience. That'd be funny.
I don't think it fits with my brand.
Not too much.
No.
So speaking of brands, I'm always curious as to how people come up with the final name for either their company or whatever. Now, Cigar Show Tim, I like it because it's simple and it's very self-explanatory.
Yes.
I don't have to wonder what is that. But so how do you settle on Cigar Show Tim?
So it was born out of necessity because there are two other Tims that are pretty well known within the industry. One of them being Tim Swanson of Cigars Daily, and the other one being Tim Long, who has been a rep and a broker. He was for Espinosa for, still involved in the industry. Actually saw him and met him at TPE. And when I would say, oh, my name's Tim, I'm doing cigar reviews, they're like, oh, are you that Cigar Daily guy? If it was over email or instant message, things like that. And it wasn't a ton of people by any means because I was so small and just starting out. And I thought I need to have a way to like differentiate myself from being, oh, are you that Cigars Daily guy? Or, oh, are you Tim from Tim and Bradley? And also not be confused because my last name is Long. And if you pronounce Long and Wong fast enough over the phone, it becomes very confusing and interchanged. And so I just thought, well, cigars is the topic. There's a show about it where I review them, and my name is Tim. So I just went with Cigar Show Tim and designed my logo, created the ashtray logo completely from scratch in Photoshop, and just took it and ran with it. I went around with a couple different ideas that all related, that all had my name Tim in it. But Cigar Show Tim just sort of made sense and clicked and just stuck.
Yeah. Now, Kyle, you've got Smoke and Revelry. So break it down for us, man. I mean, I love it. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one. Yeah, I keep my name out of it because I'm not vain.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. No, because like I mentioned just a bit ago, I felt like I was getting really pigeonholed with the whole dad smoking cigars, and also to kind of be fair, it was just me. There was no dads plural, even though periodically my dad would jump on with me to do a show with me, probably once every other month if I was lucky, every few months. Because my dad's a busy guy. My dad's been working he's an insurance broker. He's been doing it for over 40 years and, does really well for himself. And it was just becoming, I felt like I was hitting this wall that I just couldn't knock down. And so I took about 2.5 months off from doing any kind of content except for just posting periodically. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, either I stop doing this and I just, I'm all done. No more cigar media or anything like that. And I just move my focus elsewhere. Or I come up with a good rebrand that is, all in, it covers a broad, spectrum of anything, not just cigars, but you can talk about anything and everything. And I kept going over and over again over certain brand names that could, possibly work. And I won't mention what a couple of them were because they're just terrible. But then the word Revelry came to mind, which is a word we don't use much. We might say something to the effect of like, oh, I reveled in this, or this person, they revel in doing this or whatever. That's literally the only context I tend to hear it in,
Right.
modern conversation. And, but it really does drive home the idea of just, excitement, celebration, and the actual definition of, revelry or reveler is, someone who celebrates in a lively and loudly fashion. And, when I was looking at all that, I'm just like, you know what? This sounds really good. And it actually struck me. It was one of those real, rare eureka moments when it hit me. I was just like, wait, no, that's perfect. And I remember the first person I ran it by was Louis Cuevas. We were having a phone conversation, interestingly enough, at my dad's. I was house sitting for him while he was on a work trip. And I hit him up and I said, what do you think? And he says, I think that is perfect. And I'm like, okay, probably couldn't get too much of a higher endorsement than that. And so I was just like, this works, because then it's not just strictly relegated to cigars. Yeah, there's the smoke in the title, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But when it comes to Revelry, that covers a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah.
And that was kind of the thing that I've been really working to do. And, which kind of gives me a brief segue into what I'm doing now, because I just launched a podcast called the Revelers Rule Podcast.
Yeah, I saw that.
The idea, the reason why I called it Revelers Rule, again, and another thing that kind of jumped out at me in my head. One, it's, an alliterative title, Revelers Rule. The idea that people who celebrate, who truly celebrate life, they're the ones who tend to come out on top the most. They get much joy. What you got there, Timmy?
All right. Oh, there we go. It's the Knuckle Sandwich, Connecticut.
Oh, nice. Nice. So, at first it was just a t-shirt idea, because I do have a merch store, and if be so kind to be sure to include the link for that in the show.
Yeah, I was gonna get there for both of you to throw
because you asked. Now he won't
throw out your stuff, but we'll definitely get there.
But yeah, and then I was just thinking to myself, okay, you know what? I was looking at all these different podcasts, even ones that include cigar smoking as an element, whether it's a conversation piece or just part of the background. I was like, I could still do stuff with cigars, but talk about anything and everything.
That's what I do on mine.
Yeah. And my first episode was just honestly, it was a banger, because I got to hang out with an old college professor who is now a best-selling author. And she got to be on Joe Rogan's podcast. She got to be on the Megyn Kelly show. She got to be on our local.
You swinging for the fences on episode 1, man.
Yeah, awesome. I know. She's going to be a tough act to follow, because I just had Miguel Rodriguez from. Sorry, I got a stupid alarm going off on my phone. But Miguel Rodriguez from the Bakersfield Gentleman. We just talked about movies, because he's an indie filmmaker. So, again, it's just like, I'm still going to continue swinging for the fences, because there are people who I want to have on that are going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, bigger names, bigger personalities, and who might be interested on being in the podcast. I need to make sure not to get, too big of an agenda too quickly, because that, can be lead to burnout. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to and I already have a bunch of guests lined up to be on the show. This week it's going to be Vlada Stoyanov from Som Cigars. I got a couple other, great guests lined up in the weeks to come. But yeah, it really branched out into some pretty awesome things that, I'm really excited about getting into. So, and all because I rebranded. I feel like I can do more with this since the rebrand.
Yeah, 100%. You couldn't be doing that with, dad smoking cigars. I mean, you could, but it just wouldn't flow. It wouldn't make sense.
No,
that name had lived its life.
It really had. So
yeah, and it's funny how your things kind of morph. Even my podcast, Sunday Afternoon Smokes, that came to me because I wanted to do, my original idea was to do a podcast. And then I have this weird schedule in my life with my kids and other things. And I was like, the only time I could really record a podcast and it wound up working, I felt like, was on Sunday afternoon. Turns out I don't even record on Sunday afternoons. I record on Mondays and Tuesdays typically, but the episodes drop one episode every Sunday afternoon comes. And then I started doing more content than instead of just weekly. I thought that would be better. So I drop usually 2 podcasts a week and then maybe throw in a cigar review in there. But, you know, and my game's a little bit different than yours, Kyle, in that, you know, I run 2 local businesses between my cigar business and being a realtor. And so it made much more sense for me to interview local entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. And it's partly networking, advertising their businesses, my businesses, and all of those things to help the local companies here. Now, that's not to say, you know, I'd love to interview huge, big name people that everybody would know. Who knows if that will ever happen? But back to, I think your point, Tim, I don't do this in hopes of one day having millions of viewers and followers.
Yeah.
Will I? Maybe, but that's not really the goal.
Yep.
You know, for where I'm headed. We'll just see what happens with it. I do it because I like it. You know, so I don't know.
You have to like it. You have to have fun with it.
Yeah. So Sunday Afternoon Smokes podcast, which is actually it is first and foremost a podcast now, beginning to incorporate some cigar review stuff. Kyle with Smoke and Revelry, reviewing cigars and cigar paraphernalia. Now to Revelers Rule, Cigar Show. Tim, is there a podcast in your future?
Probably not. I was at the point where I was doing 2 to 3 videos a week, and it was just becoming too much with family life and everything going on. And so now I put out 1, sometimes 2 videos a week. Usually the weeks that I put out 2 is because I have an accessory to review and unbox and go through, or I've got a BL Luxuries, you know, box of the month to talk about. But I don't see a podcast, at least anything cigar related at all in my future at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you only have so many hours in the day to work with.
Exactly.
Whenever you've got a family and of course, you know, Cigar Show Tim is something that Tim does and enjoys, doesn't really get paid for it. You know, you've got to actually make a living. So,
yep. Why I work 2 jobs.
Only 2?
Well, if you ask Kyle, there was
Only
1
2.
year. Yeah, there was 1 year where between private consulting, because I spent over 2 decades in the event and hospitality management industry, and between event consulting and I'm a certified residential home inspector, roasting coffee, and a number of other things. There was 1 year where I literally had 7 different jobs in 1 year that weren't all full time. You know, they sort of ebbed and flowed.
But mostly simultaneously, though, right?
Yeah, but they were running concurrently, and Kyle would go, "So what do you have going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I've got this, I've got that, I've got it." He'd look at me every single time and go, "When are you going to slow down?" And I would look at him and go, "I don't know."
Because every time I'd see him, I was like, "How you doing?" He's like, "Dude, I'm so tired." I'm like, "Well, no kidding," because you're doing a whole bunch of crap at once, and it's just, you know, there's like I was honestly worried about him because I was like, "Dude, you're gonna burn yourself out," and you know, he was already dealing with some, you know, not only with the just trying to make sure he was staying busy and providing for his family, but you know, Tim, you had a physical ailment for a bit there, and you had to get that fixed, and you know, which was it was definitely serious. It was no minor thing. It affected his mobility, and you know, I was just like, I was terrified.
Just to be clear, we're not talking about the vasectomy now.
It was we were talking about his back.
Yeah, so in December of 2023, I had spinal fusion surgery on my lower back.
Yeah,
so
that's
that was,
man.
Yeah, at 40, what was I? 40 years old, 41 years old, 41. Yeah, 41. And it was, I can math really well, as you can tell. But yeah, it was one of those things where quality of life was just going downhill and downhill and downhill. And God just opened a door through an amazing surgeon and insurance and all those different things. And so I pulled the trigger and had the surgery, and life is exponentially better now. I can be more active with my wife and our boys,
Oh, that's
scouting
awesome.
stuff, camping, all of that. So yeah, it was one of those things where another iron was in the fire of something that needed to be taken care of. And so a lot of things got purged from my life. I had to reprioritize is really what it came down to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump. We'll probably jump one more section and then we can wrap it up unless there's some other stuff that you fellas want to talk about. But the first section of my podcast always does revolve around cigars, even if we're not smoking cigars, which is rare. But the other day, like I interviewed the mayor of my city, and can't, because it's not the 1950s, we can't smoke in the office. So,
Shame.
but we still did talk about cigars and the community, because we don't have a cigar lounge in my city. So we talked about maybe, something here. We talked about tobacco regulation and things we're seeing happen nationwide. So the first section of my podcast is always revolving around cigars. We'll go ahead and I always ask my guests about their journey, like when and how did you get introduced to cigars?
I guess I'm chuckling, so I'll go first. So I was 18 because it was legal at the time to buy tobacco when you were 18 years old. And me, my middle brother, and a high school buddy of mine all went to Walgreens, and they, of course, sold the most amazing, fantastic, perfectly procured cigars there.
Bangers.
And oh, absolutely. And so I bought a Garcia y Vega, which is a just cheap, terrible cigar.
Probably machine made.
Completely machine made. It comes in a plastic cream colored tubo, and smoked it on the side of my house with, and my brother and buddy, each of us got a cigar. And
was this with David or Chris?
David.
Okay.
And had it and thought, I'm not really liking this cigar, but I'm enjoying sort of the activity of smoking a cigar. And it wasn't very frequent, common, but I'd have a cigar maybe 2-3 times a year. That was about it. And then it progressed more and more. And then when I started dating my wife, one of the Christmas get-togethers, all the guys went in the backyard and lit up cigars and had them. And that was, at that point, that was 2006. And so got more into it and would smoke a little more consistently, maybe once a month, every other month kind of thing like that. And then got more into it when I was working at a public event venue space, and one of the people that I ran events for, he owned a smoke shop down in the San Diego, California area. And as a thank you for working the event, he knew that I enjoyed cigars every once in a while, and he sent me a box of cigars as a thank you. And so that just picked up more and more, and then I would start to buy them and different things, and it just transpired into the point when Kyle and I would hang out more and talk in his backyard and my backyard around a fire pit, and just get into them more. And then it took off, obviously, when we both launched Dad Smoking Cigars, and now it's just full steam ahead and haven't looked back.
It's pretty sweet, man. It's a great story.
So I touched on it a little bit earlier, what led to the conception of, Dad Smoking Cigars. I was 19 when I had my first cigar, because my view of smoking was a bit different, just because, my grandpa smoked packs and packs a day, and that's what led to his unfortunate, early passing before he even turned 60 years old. And so I was a little bit kind of weary of anything like that. But then I saw that my dad would eventually, he would start enjoying cigars on a pretty regular basis, not much, definitely not as much as he does now. But, I was asking him questions, and kind of looking back, some of my biggest heroes smoke cigars, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Clint Eastwood, and there was a bit of a growing fascination. And so not too long after I turned 19, this is like back in 2003, I said to my dad, I was hanging out with him as one of the weekends I got to hang out with him, because him and my mom had split about a year before, and he was in town and we were hanging out, and I said, "Hey, Dad," I said, "I think I want to try a cigar." And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I wouldn't be asking if I wasn't. So he's like, okay. So he went to this cigar shop, which at the time it was the only legit cigar shop in our area. It was a place that was called Zafuto's Cigar Haven. It's no longer there. Instead, that now there's an actual like nice lounge about a hop, skip, and a jump from where it used to be in the same area called Culebra, which is a great place.
Mm-hmm.
But he took me in, and it's this nice older lady who was working the front of the shop, and I said, new cigar smoker, what do you recommend? And she's like, okay, well, maybe we should start you off with something on the sweeter side. So we'll start you. She's like, are you okay with something flavored? I'm like, sure. And she handed me this cigar, and the brand was Kojimar, and it was a vanilla flavored, sugar tipped cigar. The cap was sugar tipped, and I tried it, and I loved it. And I sat outside of the lounge. It was like right next to a Starbucks. So we sat at these tables, and I was smoking this cigar, and I loved it. And, after that, I would find any and every excuse to smoke a cigar. And, for a long time, it was just like a periodic thing, because I was living with my mom at the time, and she hated it, which is funny now because she'll actually have a cigar with me periodically. Yeah, it was just something that kind of caught on. And then, again, like leading up to what Tim said, it was in the years leading up to 2018 that I started smoking more and more, especially when I hung out with my dad, because he always had cigars. And every time I was over at his house, he's like, you want a cigar? I'm like, yeah, sure. Just got to ask the wife because she hates them. Yeah, it was just, that's pretty much the long, a little bit of a long story, but, it was my dad, 100% my dad that got me into cigars. And it's one of my favorite things to do with him. Every time, I go over to spend time with him at his house, we sit out on his patio and we smoke cigars and talk. And the rest is history.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet. I really got into cigars back in 2018. My listeners have heard this story before, so I won't belabor it. And I kind of talked with you guys about it back in Vegas about, just my start with tobacco in 99, in 98, and then became a Christian, and then that big gap, and that, because I came from the church where alcohol and tobacco and movies and women in pants and all that's bad, right?
Yep. Sorry.
And so, it's just fast forward to 2018. And I went back, I went and got a pipe, and some pipe tobacco. I don't smoke a pipe very often anymore, from time to time, but it wasn't very long that I transitioned into cigars from smoking a pipe. And that was, 2018, then probably late summer 2018. I went on a family vacation to Yosemite there, in California. And, we rented this, dude, it's awesome. We rented this Airbnb, and down the road from our Airbnb was just this little kind of country store place, but they had some cigars in there. And what I did was, I don't remember how many nights we were there, maybe 5 nights or something in this Airbnb, but I would grab a cigar from there and sit out at the fire pit every evening with a cigar and read a book. And that's where it really, really got started. And I think I could not tell you what my very first cigar was, but I know for a fact on that trip, one of the ones I can remember smoking was AJ Fernandez New World.
Ooh, there you go. Great cigar.
Yeah, well, I struggle finding any cigar that AJ has his fingers in being bad.
Yep,
that's just me personally. I'm sure there's some hater out there that, crap. Well, there goes my umbrella.
Oh no. Did the wind just like knock it over?
The wind just took it down, man. I need a heavier base for that thing. I even had a 40-pound bag of pellets for my space heater that runs on pellets out there, like laid on the base, but whatever.
Well, you're not in Kansas anymore, evidently.
We're not definitely in Kansas, and at least we're here near the end of the episode now. The
Yeah,
sunlight,
it's all
just
good.
have to deal with it. It's not that
The
big of a
lighting's
deal.
actually not that bad.
No, you're all good.
Yeah. So anyway, AJ Fernandez, I love pretty much everything he makes. It's just great. I have one more left of his 20th anniversary cigar. I'm sure both of you have smoked that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I have a good friend of mine who he has gotten really deep into the cigar game thanks to yours truly. In the last
Well done.
in the last year, dude. He
Bravo.
So one of our local cigar shops here in Greenville, they were selling the AJ Fernandez, but they got one of the actual humidors, the black lacquered ones
Oh yeah.
that he put out, and they did a raffle on it. If you got a raffle ticket for however many cigars you bought out of this humidor, and he actually won it. And so he's got the humidors. I think they only made 250 of them or something like that, or
That's
200.
awesome.
But dude, that thing is freaking sweet.
Oh yeah.
It's really sweet. So yeah, man. Well, I think that does it for me on the things I wanted to talk to you two about. And we can take a minute. Feel free to turn the mic around if you got questions for me. Maybe not. I'm not that interesting.
So the one question that I've got is, and your trailer is absolutely beautiful. We've seen the pictures, all those different things, and you got a ton of compliments at TPE.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. You put a ton of work into it. Is having that business, has it changed your perspective on the openness of people to enjoying cigars?
Oh, 100%, man. Especially, and I think some of it is event driven. If I'm just set up at some market somewhere for whatever reason, somebody's putting on a local market and they've got 50 different vendors show up, not so much. But if I'm at a concert or a wedding, then people who do not smoke cigars will, because they are there to party. They're there to enjoy everything they can and go all in on this event. In fact, one of the weddings I did last summer, I had like 65-year-old women lining up.
That's awesome.
Being like, I've never smoked a cigar, but I'm here at this wedding. I want to try one. And they don't know what they're doing. And so, I cut for them, I light for them, but then I have to take a few minutes and just kind of coach them through how you smoke this cigar, right? And the simplest way I have kind of learned to instruct people is that, number one, we're not inhaling. This is not a cigarette. This is for a flavor profile and enjoyment, and atmospheric purposes. But the best way I can describe it to people is like you're drinking through a straw.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way. That's the best way I know to describe it. You're just simply pouring in, and it's just, if you are inhaling liquid, you're going to drown yourself. So we're not inhaling the smoke. It's just like drinking through a straw, and then you can let it sit in your mouth a few seconds and roll it around if you want, and then it's an exhale. And so you're totally right. In this business and doing certain events, people are certainly inclined to smoke cigars that generally would not.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how many cigars does your trailer hold?
It holds 100 in the window, because like you've seen, I didn't want to do boxes.
Right.
Because everybody does boxes. And I was shooting for something that was just, I wanted to display class, and there's something special about opening that door and then you have 100 cigars on individual display. And so I've got 4 rows. It doesn't quite average out to 25, but because of the belly curve on the top of the trailer, that top row is a little bit shorter. But it still is 100 cigars. And then I carry, and the other side behind that is just a storage area for extra stock. So I have several hundred cigars that I carry around with me for backup. Yeah. Nice. And there's no event I can plan for it. There's no event that's too big or small. Last year, I did the 3-day Greenville Country Music Festival, hundreds of cigars, I went through, but made sure to stock up. So yeah, I mean, if somebody has something coming up and it's a multi-day event, there's going to be thousands of people, I can handle it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun. So
That is really cool, dude.
yeah, I should roll that thing out to California.
Heck yeah.
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. We would
Yeah.
we would find an excuse for you to
we'll put
bring it
together
on out.
some big event. Yeah. And we'll make something happen. So
that's definitely in Tim's wheelhouse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're in the hospital or have roots in the hospitality industry and all that stuff. I'm sure you have plenty of contacts. We could dream something up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We know some people.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be freaking rad. I'm seriously considering it. That's a long drive, but I'm considering it.
It's only across the country.
It's only all the way across the United States. It's not a big deal. So Tim, if people want to follow you on social media or check out your YouTube channel, what's the handles?
The easiest way to find me anywhere is Cigar Show Tim, all one word. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that, everywhere. I'm just at Cigar Show Tim. And then YouTube is just search Cigar Show Tim, all one word, or youtube.com/Cigar Show Tim is the easiest way to find me. But then if they want to get connected to the media and press releases and things that get sent out, then tobaccotalkmedia.com is where all of that is posted.
Okay. I was just fixing to ask you with the differentiation between Cigar Talk Media and Cigar Show Tim.
Yeah, so Cigar Show Tim is my personality, is me, is the name that I go by, and Tobacco Talk Media is the sort of umbrella that everything falls under, because my reviews, I call them, every episode is called Tobacco Talk, because that's all I'm doing is talking about tobacco, and so it was one of those things that just made sense. And so I just decided Tobacco Talk Media made sense. It was an easy, simple, self-explanatory name. And so tobaccotalkmedia.com is where all the press releases, all that lives. I do have some of my older video content on there, but everything is on my YouTube channel as far as video content, reviews, all those different things. So that's the easiest place to find my direct content. But again, any media news information, I've got a few press releases that hit my inbox that I need to get posted up today. But yeah, that's the easiest way to find me. And then if you want to follow just the Tobacco Talk Media side of things, it's the same thing as Tobacco Talk Media on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. Twitter is funky because they have a character limit, so it's Tobacco Talk News. But I don't really post much of anything on Twitter from the Tobacco Talk side of things. So
yeah, and you have a storefront for merch, right?
Yeah, I have an Etsy shop. So you can go on and search on the Etsy shop Cigar Show Tim, and you'll find hats, the Cigar Show Tim one. You'll find the Tobacco Talk Media one, a couple different shirts. One of my favorite ones that I did, there's two of them that I did a number of years ago when Kyle and I were together. One of them is called Do You Retro Bro? And it's the sort of smiley faced emoji blowing smoke out. And so I've got that on there. And then another one, my youngest son, when Kyle and I started doing stuff, wrote on a little piece of paper that says, my dad loves cigars, and cigars is spelled SOGARS. So totally spelled wrong because he was probably, I don't know, 5 at the time. And so I put that onto a shirt and it says, I know my dad loves cigars, and put that on there. So there's some fun stuff up there, but most people tend to want the Tobacco Talk Media hat, just the logo, the design, however it is. I mean, it looks just like it does here on my shirt.
Yeah.
And you can find it all there. So on my Etsy shop, I don't remember the direct link to it, but just search Cigar Show Tim. It'll show up.
Sweet. Here at the end of the episode, my cigar is about done. So I'm going to hit some bridge 15 mil and met these cats out at TPE, and I have a good amount of this. We're going to go wintergreen. I really like their product. And of course, I know we were talking earlier, you cats out in California can't get the good flavored stuff.
No, we're as boring vanilla, although you can't even get a vanilla flavored thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's the flavorless stuff. If you want to do any kind of, nicotine pouch, anything like that at all. There's other brands that had flavored and minty and this and all that, and it's pretty much all gone as of about a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Kyle, do you use the pouches too, or just cigars?
Never have. Just never. Even when I was out in TPE with you guys, and like, I actually didn't even get the goodie bag. I didn't get anything. So I just decided it was something that I thought about, but didn't really interest me all that much. And, it was one of those things where like, you guys can knock yourself out. I don't know why, but it just never was something that really piqued my interest.
Yeah,
So
to each his own.
yeah, exactly.
So, and by the way, man, I was absolutely floored at the sheer number of different manufacturers doing this stuff
Holy cow! It
at
was
TPE.
insane.
Yeah, well, did y'all even go upstairs?
I
Nope,
didn't
I didn't even
actually.
make it
Not
upstairs.
once.
Yeah, they had a few more of these upstairs, but most upstairs was vape and
CBD, all that stuff.
CBD, all that stuff. I went up there once and I just kind of walked the floor and came back. There really wasn't anything up there for me to be interested in.
Yeah.
But dude, the sheer number of people making nicotine pouches, I was like, good grief, you know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It has exploded.
Yeah. So Kyle, people can find you on social media at Smoke and Revelry.
Yep, it's all one word for the Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I mean, pretty much everything that goes on my Instagram goes to my Facebook. I don't use it really all that often, if I'm being honest. I just dusted off the old Twitter. So Smoke and Revelry is on Twitter.
Okay, I'll follow you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I obviously I'm on YouTube. That's where the majority of my content gets posted. Smoke and Revelry on YouTube, and I'm also on TikTok. But the big thing right now is that the two main things is the Revelers Rule podcast. That is like my passion project right now. I'm really diving deep into that. I still plan to post other stuff on YouTube, but the podcast is really something I want to make grow. So if you could go check out the Revelers Rule podcast on Spotify. I got 2 episodes out right now. I got another episode coming out this Friday. Really, it's a lot of fun, really good time. And then the other thing, like Tim, I do have an Etsy shop with Smoke and Revelry merch. Right now, if you hurry, because it's almost the end of March, I got a shirt that's St. Patrick's Day themed, and it's the top of the fucking morning shirt. So please go get that before it's gone. It will be gone as of April 1st. So go get that now. And there's a handful of other shirts. There's a couple of coffee mugs. I haven't put any new merch in, save for the St. Patty's Day themed shirt and stuff like that. So yeah, please go check it out. If you see something you like, please buy. I would love to see people wearing my merch, just because I had a lot of fun designing the logos and stuff.
Yeah. So is the Revelers Rule podcast, does it have its own separate handle on Instagram, or is it all under Smoke and Revelry?
It's all under Smoke and Revelry.
Okay.
I kind of refer to Smoke and Revelry now as Smoke and Revelry Media Productions, because that's pretty much where all my stuff comes from. Yeah, it's the umbrella, but I post about everything on my Smoke and Revelry Instagram and mainly the Instagram and TikTok. Those are the 2 main places that I post the most.
Okay.
So definitely go check those out, and I'll make sure that Chris throws up some links and whatnot, because I got a bunch of them. So
yeah, I will definitely put all the links in the show notes for this. So you can find me on Instagram at Sunday Afternoon Smokes. You can also find me there at Mobile Cigar Box. And, I was talking to some people on a different podcast about this. When you're researching if you're listening or watching this podcast and you're thinking about starting a business, research the name. Research the name before you buy the LLC, before you buy the web domain. The web domain is difficult, because I started off, I bought my LLC, it's The Cigar Box. And I never thought to see if thecigarbox.com was available. And of course it wasn't. And the Cigar Box is not available on social media. Other people already have it. But it worked out for me because I'm a mobile business. So mobilecigarbox.com was available. And so it fits. So that's why my handle is Mobile Cigar Box, but the business is The Cigar Box. So you can find me on Instagram at Mobile Cigar Box, at Sunday Afternoon Smokes, and you can find me on X, which we've been referring to as Twitter. But you can find me on there, and those are just combined. I do everything I post about either one of those goes under the same handle at Mobile Cigar Box. You can visit mobileCigarBox.com to check out the trailer and the business and find out more about what I do. There's a booking inquiry form on there. You can fill that out, and I will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. And yes, I do travel. So, yeah, I mean, if you, I serve mostly the upstate of South Carolina, but if you're in Georgia, if you're in Tennessee, if you're in Texas, if you're in California, I tell people this all the time. They ask me if I travel, and the statement is, if the price is right, I'll travel anywhere.
There you go.
So, yeah, man. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. This has been super fun. I've had a great hour and 20 minutes with you two. Thanks for wanting to get together with me and have a chat and have a smoke.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting us, and it's always good to catch up.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was the blast, man.
Yeah, y'all check out Cigar Show Tim, check out Smoking Revelry, check out Sunday Afternoon Smokes. Share all this stuff from each of us. Share it on your socials, share it with your friends and family, and share it with the world, because this stuff's pretty sweet. All right, guys, we'll be back with another episode very soon. Take it easy.
See you guys.